Okay, looks like we're live on Instagram, so I'm just going to assume that we're live on Facebook and everything. Um, Hello, everybody that is out there. If you're watching, it looks like we have like zero people on Instagram watching because I don't have that many followers. But hello, anyone that's watching on Facebook. I can't tell if you're there yet because it's still loading. And hello to everyone on YouTube, live, and Periscope and Twitch. And if there's no one watching, then maybe that you'll be watching later. Hello, and my name's Justin. I'm just a random person, but I'm a host. I've been hosting this podcast for a while, and yeah, I'm super stoked to have these amazing, super amazing actually guests, and I look forward to having you learn more about them. And I believe we are definitely. I got to make one more. I'm stalling a little bit just to see if we're definitely live on Facebook, and we are. We have one person watching us on Facebook. Okay, so first up, we'll go in order of who's going, and then who's has because they have to go first. Sasha, introduce yourself. It just says iPhone. It just says it says actually iPhone Sasha. So if you want to introduce yourself, go for it now.
Hey, hi, I'm Sasha Bisco. I'm the president of the Friends of Allensworth. We are a nonprofit association that is connected to Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park. We put on 4 events per year to raise money for the interpretive program that goes on at Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park. So when the kids come in on buses or even the adults, they're walk through the park, they go into the buildings, they show the kids how people made butter back in those days, how they made candles. And so we assist with that program.
Awesome. Okay, and then we have the one and only Dulce Vasquez.
Oh man, there are many Dulce Vasquez's. People are surprised to learn, but this is me. I'm in higher education, a huge advocate, and I work in higher education. I am also a candidate for Los Angeles City Council in District 9.
Sweet. And do you have a cool map behind you and a cool dog that I don't see anymore?
Yeah, she kind of blends into the blanket.
Okay. Okay. Fernando Gonzalez.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Fernando Gonzalez. I'm an educator in Porterville in the Burton School District. I'm also an advisor of a young people's group called Tulare 180 here in Tulare, California. That's it.
Awesome. And it looks like you have a Lakers hat on.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think Dulce is appreciating that. Anyway, Alex, introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm also in the city of Tulare, in Tulare County, California, and I am the president of the Tulare Democratic Club. I'm the secretary of the Tulare County Democratic Central Committee. I'm very excited to be here and join everybody for work. I am a server bartender. I like to say I'm an activist because it encompasses everything I like to do in the community. And I'm, again, just happy to be here and listening to everything.
Awesome. Okay, we have a crazy, amazing, cool lineup today. Let's get right to it because we're running out of time. Sasha, first question. What are the upcoming events this month that you have going on? I know there's one on the 20th at 10 or 11 a.m. What's that one about?
Yes, the one on the 20th is our.
Actually, hold on just a second. We have two cameras going on. I'm going to mute one of them.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so we have an event coming up. It's our first event of the year. It's our Black History event. We do it every second Saturday in February normally, but we're running late, so we're going to do it the third Saturday on the 20th. So it's our Black History event. We normally go into portrayals where we go and find African Americans, prominent African Americans, and we find people to reenact them. And so that's how we tell the story about people, to get people interested in history and learning about all of the things that African Americans have gone through before slavery, during slavery, and after slavery. So it's an education program.
And that's 10 o'clock.
11.
11 o'clock on the 20th. And
Correct.
they can see that on your Facebook Live?
That'll go Facebook Live, and we're going to try to set up a Bright, what do you call it? Bright, Eventbrite.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, awesome. And so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. that event on the 20th, which is actually only in 5 days, and it's going to be at 11 o'clock. And so I'm going to definitely check it out on Facebook, Friends of Allensworth, and then you have is it the 28th? Do you want to talk a little bit about that event that you're associated with? That's the one with the Tulare County Library, I believe.
Tulare County Library, yes. What camera am I looking at? Let me leave one of these. Well, I think you muted my computer. If you unmute the computer, then if you unmute the phone, then I can just go to the computer. Because I need to shut something down here because I don't know where I'm looking. Oh, here we go. Okay, let me leave. Okay. Now can you hear me? Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay, no, yeah, okay, I was muted. Sorry, I can hear you.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Okay, so let's see, where was I?
28th Tulare County Library event.
Yeah.
Book club.
So the 28th Tulare County Library got a grant, and so they bought a bunch of the books. So if you sign up, you can pick up a free book. The book is by what's her name? She grew up in Allensworth.
Is it Alice C. Royal?
Royal book. Yes.
Okay.
The Allensworth, the Freedom Colony. This lady was born and raised in Allensworth, and after she became an adult, she wrote a book about it. So Tulare County we will be doing a book discussion. So if you sign up, they'll give you the book, you can read it, and then we'll have a book discussion on the 27th at 2 p.m.
Okay. And then I am super grateful that you're agreed to attend an event that that Alex and I are kind of organizing, and it's the 27th. Right before that one, it's going to be basically a celebration of Black History, and we have different speakers coming to speak. Alex is going to be speaking, and that is at 6 p.m. on Zoom and Facebook Live. We'll be going, and hopefully we get a good audience to hear a little bit about the history of Allensworth, a little bit about Buffalo Soldiers. Do you want to briefly talk about who else is joining us that your friend?
Yes, Mr. Piero. I think there's like 16 kids in his family, and his father moved them from Bakersfield to Allensworth in the 50s, and so they kind of grew up in Allensworth. They're an amazing family because they all graduated college and have degrees. They're well-educated people. He is a tour guide at the Railroad Museum in Sacramento. And he's also a docent in Allensworth. So he has a lot of history about Allensworth. His sister wrote a book about growing up in Allensworth. So he's a wealth of information. So I really am happy to have him on to help answer questions about Allensworth.
So, does anybody have any questions before I start asking a few other random ones? Nothing? Okay. When did you get involved with the Friends of Allensworth, and what are some of the success stories that you've had, and what are some of the plans for the future?
Well, I've been going to the park for years because I found out about it a long time ago. So my kids, we were in and out of the park all the time for the events. But I actually joined up with the Friends of Allensworth in 2016. As I was going to the park over the years, I saw that the attendance was down. So I asked one of the gentlemen, what's going on? Why is the attendance down? And he said, we need help. We need volunteers. It takes a lot to put these events on. It takes a lot to run the association, fundraise, and da. So I said, okay, well, I'll help. I had retired by then. So I said, okay, I'll help. So I joined up with them. They were struggling because a lot of the people on the board were older. So they didn't have a social media presence. They would just kind of, moseying along the way they did since they began in '84. So I told them, you got to have a social media page. We need to do this. We need to do that. So then I was giving them all my ideas. And then they said, well, why don't you run for president? So then I got stuck in president. So now I'm trying to pull them into the 21st century, get them, we got our social media pages up. We are moving forward. We connected with state parks, and they have been fighting for a new visitor center for years. So we petitioned the governor. So now we have a new visitor center coming. It should be up and running in about maybe 3 years. So that will bring a lot more visitors, because what we want to do is turn Allensworth into an educational place where people can come and learn history. So we want to have professors to come out there in the future, have these conferences, and just educate people who want to learn about history.
Definitely, I think that is a really good idea. I'm hoping for the best. And so you're always, I remember you're saying you're always looking for volunteers, looking for
Yes.
people to get involved. And to do that, probably the best way is to get a hold of you on like through Facebook or or you go to the website.
Website. On the website, there's a volunteer page. You can go on that page and click and let us know where your interests lie, what you're good at. We're always looking for computer people because we're trying to you know, get more advertisement out there, because I talk to people, especially out of LA and the Bay Area. That's where a lot of our supporters come from. They get buses and trains and they come to the events. But when I go to LA or I go to the Bay Area and I mention Allensworth, and they're like, what's that? So there's still a lot of people who do not know about Allensworth. They don't know the history. They don't know why the town had to exist. They don't know about all the other all Black towns around the country and why they had to exist and what happened to those towns, why most of those towns are no longer in existence. There's a lot of history there that connects with what's going on right now, which is some of the reason why Black Lives Matters is so prominent now. Because once you learn the history, then you understand the anger and the frustration.
So do you want to go over briefly those four events that you did? You already talk about those four events that you mainly, because I know we mentioned the one on the 20th, and then we mentioned some other ones, but and then I forgot to mention that on the 27th, that one that we're involved in is it is a fundraiser for the Friends of Allensworth. So and then people can donate on your website and whatnot. But do you want to briefly talk about those four other events if you want to?
Okay. So we have our Black History event in February on the 20th, and then we have Jubilee. That's the third Saturday in May, and that would be the time of the year when the carnival would come to town. So we celebrate Jubilee in May. Then we celebrate Juneteenth in June, and then we celebrate the rededication in October. And that's when we rededicate ourselves to another year of sticking with Allensworth and moving it forward.
Sweet. So anyone have any questions to chime in? I was also thinking, do you want to give I know it's probably, we're running out of time. We probably about have 10 or so 5 or 10 minutes left just to speak with you, because I know you have to get to a board meeting. Do you want to, what would you like to share about Allensworth for those that are totally clueless, that have never heard of it? Like, of the man, of the town. It's kind of hard to sum up in like 5 to 10, but like what maybe you can kind of share a few things right now.
Okay, so Colonel Allensworth was born into enslavement. He ran away a few times, got captured, ran away again. Eventually, after he was freed, he started a restaurant with his brothers in St. Louis. They were successful. They sold them, but they were still dealing with discrimination and inequalities and stuff. So he thought, I'll just move my family to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is forward moving. Things must be different out there. But he moved his family to Los Angeles, and there was still discrimination, segregation, inequalities. And by then, he had simply had it. So he said, look, this isn't working for us as Black people. So we need to go find some place where we can live by ourselves, where we don't have to deal with segregation and racism and inequality. And we can just be ourselves and be happy. So he started looking for a place. This had happened many times before. There was Boley, Oklahoma, Pocahontas, Nicodemus. There was all kind of Black towns all over the country. So he was wanting to reside in Allensworth, in California. So he got with some of his friends and he said, hey, we need to get together. We need to find some land. We need to build a place for our people. So they searched around and they found Allensworth, which at that time was called Salida. So they purchased the land. Of course, racism is still alive and well. So they paid way more for the land than what it was worth, but they wanted the land. He wanted the land for several reasons. It had 3 artesian wells underground. He knew they needed the water for farming, and the train stopped right at the front door of Allensworth. So this is great. We've got water, we've got the train, we can grow crops, we can move people and product. That's what we need. So they purchased the land, they started building the town. He would go to churches, he traveled all around the United States, telling people about his plan and inviting people to come. So people came from far and near, and they come to Allensworth. They build a town. It's thriving. It's plenty of water. The company that they purchased the land from also in the contract promised to make sure there was enough water for the people as the town grew. Well, first problem is the town starts to grow and the water runs kind of low. So the people in the town have to dig centrifugal wells. So they're digging deeper and deeper and deeper for water. The farmers, everyone's suffering because now they don't have enough water. Santa Fe says, guess what? We're no longer going to stop at Allensworth. We're going to move the train depot to Alpaugh. Well, because people were on horse and buggies, that's a long way. So then after that, the colonel is accidentally or not killed in Los Angeles. Now, his idea was to build the Tuskegee of the West. So I'm not sure if you guys know, but HBCUs came about, historical Black colleges and universities, came about because Black people were not allowed to go to college. So that's how the HBCUs came about. So he wanted to build the Tuskegee of the West. That would have changed the whole dynamics of that whole area had he been able to do that. He petitioned California. California says, no, we're not having that. So after he died, there was no one left to fight that battle. So the water dried up. As the children grew up, they would leave and not come back because there wasn't work. You know, if you get a degree, what are you coming back to Allensworth for? You know, there's really nothing there. So they lost a lot of their young people that left the older people behind. The more people moved away looking for work. So the town it never really died. So that's why we call it the little town that would never die. It didn't really die, but it was brought to its knees with the things that happened to it. So but while they were there, the Buffalo Soldiers, many of the Buffalo Soldiers retired and moved to Allensworth. So it was also a place where if your husband was going to war, he would leave his wife and children in Allensworth knowing that they would be safe. During this time, the KKK was running rampant, but they never came into Allensworth to start any trouble because they knew those Buffalo Soldiers were there, and the Buffalo Soldiers trained every able-bodied man to defend the town. So they never had a problem with outsiders. It was just the water, the colonel dying, and them not being able to get the Tuskegee of the West. So it was a safe haven for African Americans who came there. They ordered their houses from Sears and Roebuck, and the houses came on the train. They bolted them together like a puzzle, and life was great until the racism and the discrimination, and
Wow.
so it brought the town to its knees. So then California purchased it in the early 80s and turned it into a historical park.
Nice. Wow. I mean, it's, you know, a story that I think a lot of people in the Valley need to know, and, you know, even, you know, nationwide, because it has a lot of, you know, a lot of different aspects of it that that are very interesting, and you know, people that don't know will probably be really interested in learning. So I'm glad that you're part of the Friends of Allensworth nonprofit, and you're helping educate people. You got the event on the 20th. You're coming to speak at the 27th event that, you know, Alex and I and the Black Lives Matter Hanford group of Hanford are doing, putting together. And yeah, we're gonna try our best to, you know, bring awareness to you know, Allensworth and all that you're doing. Does anybody have any questions before Sasha has to get going? As far as anything for Sasha?
I had a question. What is it we can do? I'm in Tulare, but what is it we can do to support what your organization does?
Help us advertise, get the word out. We need volunteers to do all kinds of things. A lot of the people, when I came aboard in 16, a lot of the people that were on the board were like 75 and 85 years old. And so
I
there was a
understand
lot
that completely.
Yeah, they could not do a lot of the computer stuff. You know, we found someone to redo the website, bring it up to date. We put the store on the website So there's a lot of new products on the store at the store. So we need people to go to the store. So we're hoping that when we do the event on the 20th, that will get more people to go to the store, shop at the store. We lost a lot of money this year because of COVID. The park was closed. A lot of our money is made from the store when we open doing the event. So we're struggling like everyone else, but we definitely need to get the word out, and we need to fundraise. You know, I'm looking for a grant writer. I'm looking for everything. Board members, vice president,
Understood.
computer work.
What
who
is
can
your
do
website
computer work.
again?
Computer work. I have the videos came in for Saturday. So my son is flying in and he's going to he can edit them and connect the videos together. But I really would like the videos to look more professional, you know, with more of an opening and an ending. And, you know, he can do the credits at the end, but, you know, it's going to be just a plain event because we don't have the computer skills to make it look more professional. So I am looking for someone that's really into that kind of stuff.
What's the website? How do we go to your website and donate and stuff like that? What's
friendsofallinsworth.org.
Okay. I'll put that in the Facebook chat right now, and or in the Facebook comments and whatnot. But hopefully we get some people donating on the 27th at that event, and get some more history out there to people that are unfamiliar with it. But yeah, I believe there's I know when I was talking to the Black Lives Matter group of Hanford, they were really interested in trying to support and help out, and we're talking about trying to help you out find some volunteers and whatnot. And so I have a good sense. I have a good feeling. I'm sensing that some good stuff's gonna happen in the near future. They have some ideas. They want to get some people like some field trips kind of organized so students can go down there, take the train and whatnot, and everything. So yeah, I'll put your website in the Facebook comments. Anybody else have any other questions? All right. Looks like, I definitely could, talk to you all day. I know you have to kind of get going. I definitely I will be in contact with you to get you back on and, update about what's going on with everything with you. But I definitely appreciate you coming on, Sasha. And I will definitely be in touch about the upcoming events. And then I will promote, once you get the flyer out, let me know, and I'll promote you're the 20th, and I'll just send it out to everyone I know, and we'll try to get a good amount of people to watch that. And enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'm super glad that you made it on tonight.
Thanks for having me. It was nice meeting you guys. See you later.
All right, thank you, Sasha. And thank you, Alex, for chiming in with questions. I'm gonna put her website in the Facebook comments. But let's move on to Dulce, who also has to get going pretty soon. Dulce, for everyone that didn't hear your introduction, feel free to introduce yourself again, but you can add a little bit more, go a little bit more in depth, and then Alex and I and Fernando is welcome to chime in with some questions for you, and whatnot. But and I'm sorry, I apologize for not telling you it was a video podcast, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong or anything. And is the dog still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's there. She's curled up.
All right.
Not to be bothered.
All right. Hopefully we don't wake her. But introduce yourself to our network that we have pushed out right now on the Facebook Live. I think we only have a couple people watching, but they'll be watching later. So introduce yourself and what you're all about, what you're doing, and how you got into it.
Sure. So I'm Dulce. I am an educator. I work in higher education. Very passionate about it. And about a couple of weeks ago, I launched a campaign for Los Angeles City Council in District 9. The election will take place in June of 2022. And, before I sort of get into sort of how I got here, I was really struck by what Sasha said about the history of Allensworth. And, Allensworth's not the only city that was sort of victim to BNSF rail and how they chose where their stations are. I know Pullman, up in Washington, I believe, was also a city that was built to welcome the train to this city, and then it never got built. And thinking here in Los Angeles about this massive passenger train structure that we had, the red cars here in LA that connected the entire city, going for miles and miles. And in the 50s, 60s, when sort of car culture came around, we paved over so many of those railways, some of which we have brought back at great cost to taxpayers and to the city to bring some of those easements back. Thinking about the exposition line that goes from downtown to Santa Monica, but really how cities develop around transit and how mobility plays a huge part in just life, especially in a big city like Los Angeles. And transit is obviously at the forefront of my campaign platform. Not so much rail, because rail takes a long time and rail is expensive, both to build, and the community that I live in, that I'm trying to represent, needs faster service. We need to not pay as much for our fares. Even at $2.50 a ride, it's still very expensive for a lot of people, and even the monthly passes are very expensive. But we need buses that are clean, safe, and come when they're supposed to and more often. So anyways, that's a long segue into sort of what I took away from Sasha.
Let's see. Anybody have any questions right off the top of your head, Alex?
Yeah, I took some notes. When you say you're an educator in higher education, how does that unique aspect of you qualify you or make you a benefit for the city council overall in Los Angeles?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think about that often because I work in higher education, I work for a university, but overall, when you look at the even pre-K through, adult learning spectrum, all of that, when you talk about access and ability and price, all of that is deeply integrated into most of our societal ills. When we talk about equity, when we talk about access, when we talk about jobs, when we talk about payment, when we talk about salaries, minimum wage, et cetera, when you talk about all of these things, they're all interconnected. When we talk about green space, right? Like I'm in South LA, most of our green spaces are at public schools. All of our public schools, not only are they closed right now for the pandemic, but they're closed after 5 o'clock. And you're not, if you don't attend those schools or if you're not there for soccer practice or whatnot, you're not welcome into a lot of these spaces. So when you start thinking about clean air and mobility and exercise and just the privilege of being outside in the middle of a pandemic, I think education is uniquely at the intersection of a lot of these things. When we talk about the digital divide, like granted, the city council does not run our school systems, but the city council can do a lot to bridge that. We can propose public broadband that would solve a lot of our accessibility issues within our lower income communities. So I think that a lot of education is deeply intersecting many of those issues that come across City Hall.
And we did talk about that earlier today, Justin and I, when we had another meeting about how even in the city budget, which is a very powerful tool you'll have access to, you can allocate money to community and neighborhood projects sponsored by the city, where even you mentioned, like, obviously the city doesn't run the educational system, but they can totally sponsor extracurricular activities past 5 o'clock and help grow, because you're right. It is the interjection of a lot of issues. I keep going to politics because it's so big, because people are able to be misled either due to a failing public school system, just the need to work because they need to raise their families, they need to feed, they just need it. And they can't recognize who's out for their best interest because they're too busy working, and they may not have been equipped with the tools. So you're spot on. And the budget is a really good place for you to dive into and see what's there to use.
And I don't know who I'm quoting on this, but something that I always there are two things that I always sort of like base you talked about politics and like sort of one track issues and how they are all interconnected. So there are two things. One is like, don't tell me about your values, show me your budget and I'll tell you what your values are, right? Like that is really important when half of our general budget is going to the police and we have the police like responding to mental health calls. We have the police running like, you know, after school programming and education. And we have the police like, you know, ticketing, you know, people for a moving violation. Like when we think about all of the things that we have now dumped into this bucket of like, oh, let's just let the police handle them. Like we're seeing the repercussions of that, where, you know, we could have actual professionals instead of sort of making a square peg fit into a round hole. So that's one thing. The other thing, when we talk about blinders, there's another quote of like, a scenario where there, and I really, this is like the third time I've talked about it, so I really need to look up who actually said this. There are babies that are sort of floating down the river, and there are groups of people who are there helping get the babies out of the river, but no one's actually going to the top of the river to see what's causing the babies to go into the river. And this is a lot of like public analysis and public policy issues that we are so focused on like solution that we're not backing up and seeing, well, what's causing the problem? And a lot of that is the interconnectivity of a lot of these issues. You know, we talk about it, and I have masters in public policy, so we talk about technical issues and adaptive issues. And there are technical issues like, you know, you solve a problem and it's pretty easy. And everything that a city deals with when you're talking about both the city, its interactions with the county, its interactions with the state, its interactions with the nation and the federal government, like those are all adaptive problems because, you know, tomorrow there could be an insurrection and you have to pivot based on what, there could be a hurricane. Last night I was going to bed and like the lights were flickering on and off every, you know, 10, 15 minutes with just like wind. And I just kept thinking about.
Yeah, it's like we're moments away from chaos.
Yeah.
And we don't even know how to connect with each other sometimes.
And I just kept thinking about our unhoused neighbors that like none of my plants could stay upright. I just kept thinking about their tents and how people are managing to keep their tents up in a windstorm, you know, let alone a rainstorm. And like the whole country's experiencing, you know, cold weather right now. So these are all, you know, very deep issues that deep problems that don't take just one Band-Aid, don't take just, you know, picking one nonprofit to try to take a small piece of it. It really takes a valiant effort and coordination. And I think that we've been lacking a lot of that coordination because the way that we've seen our politics for so long and the way that politicians see their own politics are the easy wins, right? Because you get 4 years and you get 2 years before you start campaigning again. So what are you going to do in 2 years so that you can go out and campaign for the next 2 years and tell them what you did in those 2 years instead of looking at the longer term of like, I could have 4, 8, or 12 years in this before, you know, you're termed out. What can we do in 12 years to solve a systemic issue, to solve homelessness, to solve our climate crisis? And people aren't thinking in that way.
Absolutely, I agree. One final question, Justin. Dulce, the redistricting after the census is finalized, is that going to be coming up in soon in the city council discussions?
It is, yeah. And you know, that's going to affect our assembly districts, is going to affect our congressional districts. It's going to affect our school districts. And of course, it'll affect our city council districts. There is an entire body of commissioners that have been selected to be an independent body. Every council member has elected one representative, and I believe the mayor chose 3 representatives to be on that body. And by the end of 2021, we will have new approved maps. I don't know how that's gonna affect sort of where I live right now. I'm not the first candidate, obviously, to have gone through that. I believe Mayor Villaraigosa back in 2001 or maybe 2011 was actually drawn
10 years ago sometime, yeah.
It might have been 20 years ago, actually, was drawn out of his own district.
No wonder they have independent commissions in Los Angeles.
I mean, they're independent, like.
Well,
I
I'll tell you one thing. It's better than what we have
And
here.
that's an issue, right? Like when we talk about independent commissions, like this isn't a lottery system like the state, right? Like you don't apply and then like people get chosen. All of these people are appointed by
Yeah.
their council members. So like you want to believe that these are ethical, moral people, that it won't be influenced by the desires of the people who have appointed them. But that's already a problematic way to choose your commissioners, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
That's it. All right. Well, well, I don't want to keep you too much longer, Dulce, because then you have to get going. If you feel like it, I know a little bit about you because I've watched the Facebook, and I'm trying to upload the your Facebook page to the comment section and everything. And I know a little bit. I've seen some of your interviews and whatnot. But do you want to kind of give a brief background of like your whole life story?
Yeah, sure. Well, it started. Let's see. I was born in Mexico. I was born to, sort of hustler family. We were okay. What I imagine was probably middle class, but I have no idea. We sort of things started turning bad in the late 80s, early 90s, and my mom migrated to the US. She was a teacher in Mexico and came to the US and did all sorts of jobs. She was doing dishes. She was like canning up the food packages that they distribute for the airplanes at the airport. A job she could never like get today because she was undocumented, like did not have documents. Like you can't get anywhere near an airport now. She got married and eventually called for me to come join them here. And I'd been living with my grandparents at the time, so I joined them. And, by that point, she was a nanny. And then when my brother was born, that was a little too time constrictive for her. So she started cleaning houses. So she got to sort of like choose her own schedule. And to this day, she cleans houses. My dad was in agriculture. And then his brother was like, we could make more money in construction. So they started working in construction, and that's what he does now. I grew up both like cleaning construction sites and cleaning with my mom. She would have me do all of the like easier tasks of like doing the windows and vacuuming. Then when I was done, I could sit and read. So I loved reading. I loved school, and my grandfather very much like infused in me that school was really important. So I got a full ride to go to Northwestern University in Chicago. And that sort of was the seed into how education really changes your trajectory, right? Like I look at both the kids that I grew up with, both in Mexico and from like high school, and education is really powerful and important. And so I've been sort of working in and around education, mentoring other young Latina women to go to 4-year universities because, the work that I do now, it's sort of spotlights where the cracks are in the system, like the Los Angeles Unified School System, the second largest school system in the country. If you attend one of their schools, you have a 1 in 10 chance of graduating from a 4-year university in 4 years. And that is dismal. So then like, that's one hurdle. The next hurdle is like, are you getting into a Cal State or are you going to a community college? And if you're going to a community college, are you actually graduating in 2 years and matriculating to a 4-year university and then doing that in an additional 2 years? Or did you waste your time with a bunch of credits in community college that aren't going to transfer to your 4-year degree? And the longer that you expand education, the more expensive it is. the less time that you are jumping into the job market, and the less time that you're sort of earning money, money is coming out. So it gets really expensive for folks, and education has sort of doubled in price in the last 20 years, which is a different problem on the federal level. So I did my master's thesis on debt and student loan servicing and the predatory nature of those, of when the government sort of changed the system from being the backer to the actual distributor. So anyways, getting too far into the weeds on some of this, but obviously, like education, I see both education and immigration, because I was undocumented for 7 years, are the tools that I look at the world through. And obviously my parents are working class. I consider myself working class, just in the way that I was raised and my experiences. And all of that sort of came to head really when the pandemic started, and how the government was managing distribution of PPE, access, and who was getting to go to work and who had the privilege of staying home. These are all privileged positions that again go back, like if you're higher educated, you more likely have a job that you can work from home in, and who's getting exposure. And the Latino community is getting infected at a higher rate, and the Latino community is dying at a higher rate, and so is the Black community. So like, where are all of those issues, and how could they have been prevented? And then larger decisions of like, now the city is opening indoor dining, and now the city is opening the malls, and the malls haven't been closed even through the worst of the pandemic. So that was one thing, as I was like watching all of this develop. And then the protests started in June, and seeing the city and the state's reaction to the protests, and not actually listening to any of this. So all of those things were very frustrating to me. And I started looking into City Hall and sort of who was my council person, and what they had been doing and what their stances were on some of these things. And I was like, I think I have great ideas, and I bring a lot of passion and energy, and I think that this is something that I could do. So I started asking around if people would support me, and I got a lot of yeses, which made me feel confident that I could launch a strong campaign. And that's exactly what we did. 2 weeks ago, we launched, and I think across all of the digital platforms, we probably have like 25,000 views on the launch video. That's just views. Impressions are larger than that. But that means that there are a lot of people noticing, and there are a lot of people who have seen my message. And that's the best thing that I can do with a campaign, is bring attention that there is a deficit, and that people have better ideas. And if you support them, that maybe we can actually implement them.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer, really, but I think you're an amazing person. I think you have a great message, and I will definitely do what I can to help you out going to be elected. And I believe that you will be elected, and I think you'll be an amazing person to represent your city. And even though Alex and Fernando and I are way over here, I'm sure we can try to get some people that we may know in the Southern California region, and try to help you out, and so you don't feel so well overwhelmed. But I know
I appreciate that so much. And what we're truly trying to do is, obviously, like, come June of next year, we need votes in the district. But in the meantime, this is a global message. This is a national message that there are progressive policies that we could either be adopting from other countries, other cities, other countries, both in like transportation, especially, like there are so many more advanced countries when it comes to transit. I've been blessed enough to be able to travel the world, and I choose Los Angeles to be my home because I think that this place is so special. But, I've been to, other countries with like massive, the things that like we can only imagine in the US in like the year 3000. But really, thinking about the impact that the Los Angeles City Council has as, the second sort of most powerful local body in the country. And there are only 15 council members, which already like that needs to change. That needs to increase by at least double. When New York, I think, has like 50, and Chicago, I think, has also 40 or 50 aldermen. And but seeing that, like, if we're able to make some of these changes, that trickles down into some smaller cities too, right? When we start thinking about like cities that don't even have district representation, right? Like you're not broken down into geographic districts, or cities that like have a rotating mayoralship. Some of these policies, the world, does watch, and the world will be watching even more as we go into, at some point, Los Angeles is going to host the Super Bowl. The World Cup is supposed to have a couple games here in 2026. The Olympics are coming, and the Olympics are hugely problematic for cities that cover them. So how Los Angeles reacts or prepares to protect its citizens from the Olympics, I'm not saying that monthly, like, we do need to protect our citizens from the Olympics, because we don't want evictions, we don't want displacement, we don't want additional policing, because once we increase our police force, there is no decreasing our police force. And the Olympics are here for 4 weeks, or 2 weeks, or whatever it is. Like, those are decisions that we have to start thinking about now. We have to start implementing now. We have to start protecting ourselves from now. So we really do need good, ethical, transparent, creative leadership to take us into some of those big world stages.
Especially creative, different ideas. We need to try things completely different going forward.
All right, Dulce, I'm gonna tell all my LA buddies. I know you're out there watching, and if you're not, you're gonna watch the rerun, and I'll hound you if you're not watching right now, and I'll say watch this, because you need to make see if you're in her district. I know a buddy. I think I believe he resides in Boyle Heights still, and I don't know if that's your district, but
it's right next door, and I need all the help I can get.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, I'm rooting for you. I believe in you. I know you're gonna win, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to help you out.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me on. This was really awesome, and look forward
Absolutely.
to doing this again at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, come back whenever you want to update us on new things and whatnot. And yeah, you're always welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, everyone.
All right, take care.
Hope to see you at convention.
I don't think she got that.
She left.
You'll see her. You'll see her at convention. When's convention?
So we have two normally before, this is a COVID year. So our April convention is coming up. It's probably going to be on Zoom, but we usually have two every year, and then one executive board convention.
Oh, okay. And those are kind of exclusive to to.
It's only exclusive for delegates to vote, but it's a public event to enter.
Oh, nice.
Some presentations and some meetings are exclusive to only delegates, but it's open to all registered Democrats for sure.
Sweet. All right, Fernanda. Yeah. Fernanda, you've been kind of quiet over there. You've just been absorbing it all, or what's going on?
Hey man, I'm just soaking up all this knowledge that I'm getting from two amazing speakers and sitting here. I'm a student now, so just to listen, what's been going on has been amazing. And I wasn't a comment, but she left. We need someone like her here in the Central Valley, especially. We're very old school traditional, and I think Tulare, especially, I can only speak for them because I'm from here. They're afraid of change, and I definitely do believe that new blood like that is something that we need desperately here. So it was good to hear her speak on some platforms that I agree with her on. Definitely,
yeah, no. I think you're right on track with that. So let's learn a little bit about you. You're an educator in Porterville, you want to go a little bit in depth about who you are?
Yeah. So I'm actually a native of Las Vegas, Nevada, but I've been living here my entire life. I consider Tulare my home. I've been here. I've been through a lot of elementary schools here in Tulare, Lincoln being one of them. I think those from the hood understand where Lincoln is at. Definitely proud to be from that great elementary. And then from there, I just moved on to different schools. And I graduated from Tulare Union High School in 2005, and then from there I went on to COS. And I think it was at COS when I kind of was trying to feel myself on what I wanted to do, and what I originally wanted to do was to actually be a lawyer, but that didn't work out. So I got connected with a few people, and education was the platform that I chose, and went on to Fresno State, got my credentials in 2011, and got my first hire at Burton Middle School in Porterville, and been there ever since 2013. And I've entered my 8th year in this crazy pandemic year. The most challenging time of my career is now. I definitely appreciate education a whole lot more. I definitely appreciate the classroom environment a whole lot more. No offense, but I'm tired of Zoom. I am going to delete Zoom as soon as this whole thing is over. Hopefully, don't get back to it. Even though I think Zoom's going to stay for a long time, no matter if we get the new normal or not. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm a family dude. I love dogs. You know, I'm just simple.
What about the 180 project?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
And the whole mural. Tell us a little bit about all that. And
Right.
The whole situation and the drama, if there was any drama. I don't know the whole.
Oh man. Yeah. You know what's crazy about Tulare 180? I never thought that was going to happen. I think it was after the murder of George Floyd. I just got fed up that Tulare was not taking a stance. I was in college when Trayvon Martin happened, and I was really passionate about that. At that time, I didn't have any political affiliation. I was just trying to feel myself there. But even then, Fresno State took a stand, and there was protests, there were speeches and things like that, and I absolutely loved it. But I never saw Tulare take a stand on any social justice issue. So I was questioning it, and I put a call out to the council members, and I said, "Hey, I want to schedule a meeting. Let's do something to figure out what we could do to involve the youth more and get more active in these social causes." And no one but one person had said, "You know what? Let's meet up," and that's Mr. Carlton Jones. He was the only one who wanted to meet with me, and so we met. And then he gave me the rundown of what he does and what he believes in. I already knew of Carlton at that time. I didn't know him personally the way I do now, but he said, "You know what? Let's do something." And with his connections, he contacted a bunch of young people, and we had a pretty big group at first. And when he invited me to Fresno, because they did a Black Lives Matter mural there on the street right in front of City Hall, and I was so inspired by that I was like, "Why can't we do that here in Tulare?" I didn't think too much of it. I didn't think too much of the fact that it was going to cause a lot of drama, which it did. And we started a petition, got a lot of signatures. The people who ran the mural for Fresno, they helped us out. We had sponsors ready to go. The vice mayor at that time said he'll give us a donation. So we were ready to go. And then the former mayor at that time, which I believe he was a guest here, he said he was for it. Unfortunately, we didn't get his vote during the time, and they shut the idea down. We had a bunch of kids go to the council meeting, and they talked about why they were doing this and why they were passionate about it. And I spoke as well, and I made it very clear that we're not here trying to pick sides. We're here trying to have these kids do something positive. And they said no, and it was pretty tough at first. We lost a lot of members, including advisors, and one of our young people, she said, "No, I mean, we're still going to do this." And then they went to Blackstone Market here Tulare and talked to the owner and said, hey, can we paint this mural on your wall? We'll clean the entire um, um, area, and so we clean it. It's super nice now, and took about 7 days, and the mural happened, and it was a pretty big deal for us, and we were really excited about it.
So, do you guys do you guys have like a Facebook group or page or?
Right. So we just came up with the Facebook. It's just simply Tulare 180. We also have an Instagram called Tulare 180. We are in the development stage when it comes to a website. We are fairly new and we're just barely getting off the ground. But we told these kids, because of this mural that we just did, there's gonna be a lot of other projects that we're gonna do. Now, I want to be very specific. We're not just a mural group. We're a group about social change, whether it's voting, social justice, getting kids involved in local politics and things like that. And we're not even telling what party the kids should choose. I mean, that's going to be their thing when they get to that point. But we do a lot of advertising there on our social media. I think Carlton Jones does an amazing job promoting it because he has a big following on his social media. And yeah, we're just trying to do what we can, and we're on our second phase of planning our next project, and we'll see how that goes. Okay.
Well, I was listening. I was trying to ask you a question. So you mentioned the mural, and I did read in the paper that there's one on Blackstone now, right? Blackstone and Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Okay. The one you were talking about, because we did have the council member on not that long ago. I think it was like last week or this week, but he said he supported it and Black Lives Matter and everything. I'm just curious to know what the specific detail was regarding the vote you were mentioning earlier.
Right. Thanks for asking that question. So I actually had a talk with him. I had sent him an email, and he did an amazing job returning the email, and he gave me his number. And so we talked for about a good 30 minutes, and he pretty much was giving me the rundown on how it works and things like that. And he told me right on the phone, hey, I do support this. I support you. You need 3 votes, and I'll be one of them. Unfortunately, though, when it was time for the voting, we only had, I believe, 2, and that was one of them was from Carlton Jones. At that time, he was a councilman, and I believe Nunley was the other one. So that project was, we were going to paint that mural in front of City Hall, which we had plans for how it was going to work, and it was going to be paint that is washable, that eventually it would fade out. But we made it very clear that we wanted the support of our council members. And unfortunately, we didn't get that. I don't know to the reasons why. I don't know if it was just politics or not, but regardless, we were able to do it on a permanent location now. So it went from being like in an area where it's gonna be only for a little bit. Well, now we found an area where it's just gonna be completely permanent from now on. So it is what it is. The vice mayor, who is the current mayor now, he did say that he would write a check for us. And if he's listening, the offer's still there. We're waiting on that check to help us out with our next project, and we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Yeah, super stoked that you're involved with all this, and I definitely am glad that you're doing it and everything. So, what would be the next project that you're going to be working on?
That's something that we're going to discuss. Again, we're not just a mural organization. We do want to do some social change. One of my dreams is to do voting, as far as why voting is so important, especially when it comes to local politics. Like I said earlier, Tulare is very traditional, and the reason why we don't get new blood in there is because we don't get young people to go out there and vote. And again, it's not about party affiliation, it's about who has the better and best plan. And we have a lot of. So my goal is to also create a platform where we're teaching young people how to go out there and vote, or how what to do when it comes to choosing their beliefs when it comes to politics. As far as like the arts, I mean, I fell in love with the art just doing this project. I mean, I've always been an arts guy, but not as much as I am now. One of our young members, his name's Brandon. He is the artist. The kid is amazing. He does customized shoes and all that stuff, and he just got an offer to do something for the Lighthouse Rescue Mission here in Tulare. So it's creating different opportunities. So we do want to do a mural, but that's not going to be our main focus. We're thinking about Cesar Chavez and things like that to pretty much represent what Tulare is, and that's a whole gang of different people and not just a certain group. So we definitely want to do something to represent everybody.
Nice. Yeah, I'm totally all about that. I think it needs to be done. I think you're on the right track, and I'm glad that you're helping out with all this. I put the Tulare 180 in the Facebook chat. I believe that's the right one, and the Instagram. And so you might want to double check later on and make sure that's the right one. But yeah. So how about you? Any plans in the future? Politics?
You know what? That used to be a passion of mine. I'm not gonna lie to you, it kind of faded away. Only because, especially as an educator, I want to teach kids how the government works, and I think that's where my passion lies right now. But no, not for me. I don't think it's for me. I think it's for people who are very passionate about it, who can last the entire time without losing their brains. And because I know it's a very difficult job, especially when it comes to campaigning, debates, and things like that. So it's a stress that I don't want.
I understand. Yeah.
But I'm very grateful for those who go through the process. I think it's awesome, and I'm more of the supporter than I am the person that's going to go up there in front of the spotlight.
I get it. I mean, I would vote for you, but that's just me personally. I think we should all we should chat sometime. Alex, you and I, and whoever's down, and maybe brainstorm some events we could do in the future together. Because I think we all have similar kind of beliefs in what we think. Voting. We definitely, Alex and I have always been every time first time I met him, he's always all about trying to get people educated on how to vote, and he's really involved in the political process. So I think we could definitely.
And Fernando, you mentioned we need more people like Dulce here. And if you're from Tulare, Justin and I, and you said yourself right now that you play more of a supportive role. Well, you have that sharp eye and those values that is needed in not the spotlight type of positions like candidates, but in asking questions to candidates and getting the positions on where they stand. And that's maybe something you could do. It's something you should really consider, because I did listen to you right now and it sounds like you have it all, and it's just a small commitment to do, and it helps promote a lot of the stuff you're trying to do with the students, and it actually will help you guide the students maybe into getting active themselves, because I think a lot of it, you mentioned at the very beginning, I took notes, that Tulare doesn't like change. Tulare resists it. Tulare doesn't take positions. A lot of it has to do too because our youth is not very organized or connected with their local politic. And it starts in the schools, there needs to be clubs. If they have to be nonpartisan, then so be it. But there should be some civic clubs, or make it partisan, and then you have the clubs do some cordial debates on campus, on that. And you don't count yourself out. I know politics can seem kind of like, oh, that's not for me at all, but really it could be. And as soon as you realize that it's not anything special, it's not anything difficult, you could be your own style, I think you would have the confidence to one day put yourself forward, because you're super young. I think you went to school with my cousin at Union. Jacob Munoz? No?
No, Jacob Munoz.
Well, they went to like Bixley, because he's your age and he went to Union and stuff. They're like in the Bixley area. But anyways, my point is we all grew up around each other, so we know where our community was, where it is, and where it can go. And brain drain's a big thing. A lot of people leave. Has a lot to do with why the circular revolving door continues to be the same as it is here. But that's just give us an opportunity to include you. And I think, you'll find your own voice in it all. And you mentioned Carlton Jones. I started my political involvement helping Carlton Jones run for state assembly district when it became an open seat in 2014. Like, I did experience him. He was by far the most inspiring candidate of the bunch who ran that year. And I was really sad to see him lose. I was also sad to see him lose his city council race by like 8 votes, whatever it was, 8 or 9 votes. Contrary to the fact that, he's also a very well-known person in Tulare for a lot of his positions he's taken and his passion. And none of us are perfect. All of us go up and we go down. And it just takes a matter of reorganizing, reshuffling, and just to keep at it. And I hope he continues to be involved. And I hope he doesn't let up, because he almost had it. And that shows his connection to the community. And you have one too, and you can do it too.
Well, Alex, I definitely do appreciate that. I will say, Alex, I've seen you a few times, brother. I've seen you a few times. I've seen you at the MLK March a couple times. I've seen you.
I've gone every year for like 6 years.
Yeah. I spoke one time at that event, and I remember seeing you there. But you know what? I do appreciate it. I am down to help the cause. I am down to help anything that I can to not only just help the young people get involved, but also hold politicians accountable. I don't care if they're a Democrat. I don't care if they're Republicans. My main thing is, are you doing your thing to help better this community? And as far as with Carlton Jones, I very much think he's misunderstood on a lot of his passions. He's an amazing guy. Again, these past few months, I got to know him at the personal level, and just he's an amazing husband, an amazing father. But what I love about him is that even though he didn't win his reelection, the passion never left. He still works with these kids, and he's putting these kids forward, because his thing is like, it's not about me, it's not about me. I want these kids to take a position, and if they're really passionate about it, I want to help them. And when I mentioned earlier that the mural took about 7 days, it was 7 days of Carlton and our young artist Brandon. It was all them. I was at work in Porterville. Our other advisors, who are also educators, they were also at work. So he definitely inspires me, and Alex and Justin. If you guys feel that I can help in any way, I'm down to do it.
All right. Well, guess what? I'm gonna start putting this out there. Fernando Gonzalez School Board, 2020,
Yeah.
2020 something.
And there's hospital boards, and there's a lot of places where you can put that passion, or like I said earlier, just in the background and just supporting good candidates too. And it's because of everything that's going on, we have to start knowing who we are, and we have to start letting go of certain pasts and then moving forward with the common agenda, because we're facing some pretty serious obstacles all together. We heard the story of Allensworth. We're not immune to that for that repeating itself in some fashion, some new style. Right. And it requires us to start talking to one another and organizing. And like Dulce said, the election's in 2022, but what are we doing from then and now? And that's what I'm so happy I met Justin. I'm so happy he does these, because it's going to benefit all of us in the future months. So we're not caught off guard when the possibility of what we see happening. I was at the outlets today, and there was already a table out there organizing the Republican Party, which I already announced myself as a member of the Democratic Party, but they're doing it, and we know what they represent. And it's just a matter of us starting to have our conversations about what social stances we take and what we're about. And we're not scared to talk about it, and we're not scared to fight for it and demand it.
So they had people out there registering people to vote, or like, were they campaigning for somebody, or?
Well, at the outlets, they had signs that said "Register Republican," and they had like their big American flag and stuff. So that one was registered voters. And then there was one at Target, and this is all in Tulare. And then at Target in Tulare, they have been having it there, the Recall Gavin Newsom tables. Okay, and you're in education. A lot of it is an educational issue. People go by their passions, that's fine. But there's an argument to be made on our side too. And I'm not even saying you have to be a partisan, because you mentioned, I don't even care if the Democrat or Republican. That's true to an extent. But to an extent, the country is where it is, and that's just where we are. And we have to do something. And Justin and I were trying to do something. And we hope you can at least give us a little bit of your time, perhaps in the future.
Yeah, hey, let's do it. Let's do it. You know what? With the whole pandemic, one thing that I've learned, Alex, I got nothing but time. So, so just just let me know, and I'll be glad to help in any way that I can.
We'll definitely let you know.
For sure.
For sure. Justin, you have his email, right?
Facebook, but we can exchange emails and whatnot over Facebook and stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely look forward to in the future to trying to help out your causes and everything, and hopefully collaborating on some things, because I think Alex is right. Yeah, if we all come together and put our minds together, there is a lot of possibilities we could come with the future. So stoked that we were able to connect, and thank you so much for coming on. Alex, any last questions for Fernando?
No, I'm just very happy I managed to stay past. I have a Zoom. I was 6, but I pushed it to 6:30 because I really want to hear Fernando.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, for staying on, and yeah, Fernando, thank you for being patient with us and waiting. Let's try to connect in the near future, and figure out what we can do for our community in the valley and everything. So Fernando and Alex, you guys have a good rest of your evening, you'll probably be hearing from me very soon.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, Justin, so much for doing these.
Yeah, no problem. All right, you guys take care.
Thank you.
Peace. Peace out. Peace, peace, peace out. Peace out. Peace, peace, peace out. Yeah, peace out. Peace out. Everybody, there's no one watching. It's okay, I don't care. Peace out. Peace out. I'm peacing out. For anybody that's watching, but there's no one watching. I don't care. Peace out. Peace out. Peace out. For anybody that's watching, and there's nobody watching, and I don't care. I don't care. Peace out. Peace out for anybody that's watching, but there's nobody watching. Peace out. Peace out. I'm peacing out. Adios for anybody that's watching, but no one's watching. I don't care. You better have a good evening, but there's no one watching, and I don't care. Peace out. Peace out, everybody that's watching, but there's nobody watching, and I don't care. Peace out. Peace out. I'm peacing out, so peace out. There's nobody watching, and I'm talking to myself, and I don't care. Peace out. Peace out. I'm peacing out, but there's nobody watching, and I don't care. I'm talking to myself when I say this, that I'm peacing out. Peace out. Who am I talking to? Nobody's there. Peace out. I'm peacing out, so peace out. Who am I talking to? There's nobody there. Peace out. Peace out, everybody. Got a lot of events coming up, so I gotta peace out. I got a lot of work to do while making sure the events go smooth. So peace out. We got one person watching now. I feel like I'm talking to someone. I'm peacing out soon. So peace out. I got a lot of work to do. Organizing some events and trying to get some people on the podcast or two. Because we don't got anybody lined up. If you're watching, will you come on the podcast? Because we got nobody else that wants to come on. They just left. We got 0 people watching now. So now I'm singing to nobody and feel like I'm talking to myself. So peace out. Peace out. I'm peacing out. But who am I talking to? There's no one watching. So peace out. Peace out. I'm peacing out. I gotta go, but who am I singing to? There's no one watching. Actually, we got one person or two, probably on Periscope or Twitch or YouTube Live, Facebook Live or Instagram Live. But you missed the podcast. Go back and rewind after I peace out. After I peace out. I'm peacing out. I'm singing to one person on Facebook Live. Have a good night and have a good life. I'm peacing out and they just peaced out. People can't watch this for more than 20 seconds. It's okay, I do the same thing. I peace out after watching something that's boring. I guess I'm boring, so I'm peacing out. Peace out, everybody. Peace out. I'm peacing out. Peace. So peace, love, and harmony to everybody that might watch this on the rerun. But you can skip this part. You can go right to where I interviewed everybody. Actually, I didn't do a lot of interviewing. They kind of just talked. I just kind of asked a few questions, but so did some others, and it's okay. I'm peacing out. So peace out, everybody. Have a good evening. Have a good day tomorrow if I don't see you, but I gotta get to work on some events. Some are coming up, and it's less than 7 days away. 6 days now until the next one. hope you can come. You'll hear some music that's way better than this, 'cause now I'm just talking shit, and it's okay, I don't care. I'm peacing out. So peace out, everybody, I'm peacing out. There's nobody watching and I feel like I'm singing to no one, 'cause I'm not singing to anybody. There's nobody watching right now. And it's okay, 'cause I don't give a crap about that. I just care if you come to the next events, because that's all that matters is the next event. Do not worry about this song. This is just an improv. No one cares. I'm singing to no one. Have a good evening. Have a good time. Doing whatever you do on a Monday night. Have a good life. I'm talking to no one. Singing for you if you watch the rerun. But right now there's no one watching. There's no one that cares to hear whatever I gotta say, 'cause I'm not really saying that's okay. Anything that's of importance, so what you're missing right now is okay. But after I end this, you should watch the rerun of the podcast. This is the musical ending of the podcast. I've been doing this a lot, just kind of messing around, singing random things that come off the top of my head after the podcast, because I'm trying to kind of just play a little bit of music here for you. It doesn't matter what I'm really trying to do, it's okay, but it's not okay if you don't understand what I'm talking about. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I'm not really talking about anything that's important. So after this song is over, please watch the podcast. Talks about a lot of important things that are way more important than what I'm saying right now. So have a good evening. Monday nights are kind of boring, so watch the podcast now. There's people running for city council that are on, people that are doing cool things in this world, like the Friends of Allensworth. The Friends of Allensworth are doing cool stuff. On February 20th is their next event at 11 a.m. I think it's a Saturday. I could be wrong, but I don't really know. I'll have to check the calendar out. But the Friends of Allensworth are coming. And speaking on February 27th, it's a fundraiser for them. Doing a fundraiser with Black Lives Matter Hanford. On February 27th, that's a Saturday at 6 p.m. Thank you, the one person watching on Facebook Live. You're real cool for being here with me, so that I don't feel like I'm singing to no one, singing to nobody. But you can leave anytime you want and just watch the rerun of the podcast, because this is not the podcast. If it's what you thought you were looking for, the podcast came before this about an hour ago. People came on and were talking. It was really cool. I hope you enjoy. And they just left. It's okay. I was only 5 seconds that they stayed. It's okay. I know I'm boring. It's alright. But I'm not worried about it tonight. Just come to the events that I put on with all the people that I collaborate with, and you know who you are. Have a good evening. I'm really peacing out. This time I'm leaving. I'm just trying to get along with the rest of the night. So I'm peacing out. Peace out. I'm peacing out. So peace out. Peacing out. Speaking to nobody, 'cause no one is watching on Facebook Live. So peace out. Peace out. I'm peacing out. Peacing out. Have a good night. Have a good life. good life. Everybody that's watching this, but there's no one watching this. I'm talking to nobody. But if you watch the rerun, have a good life, have a good night, and goodbye. Have a good life. I'm peacing out. Have a good night. I'm peacing out. Yeah, just have a good life. I'm peacing out. Peace out, 'cause I'm heading out tonight. Goodbye. I'm peacing out. Have a good life. I'm peacing out. Just have a good night. I'm peacing out. Peace out, everybody. I'll say goodbye for tonight. Adios. Later, alligator. Have a good one, everybody. Peace and love. That's not a good art. There you go. Laters. Very good podcast. Very good podcast. Not because of me. It was a good podcast because of all the cool, great guests. The guests were amazing on the podcast. I wish I could be them sometimes, but I can't be them. I just gotta be me. We had amazing guests on the podcast. They know what they're talking about, so listen to what they said. Why are there 2 people watching now when the podcast is over and I'm peacing out? I need to go now, so peace out, everybody. Watch the podcast. Don't worry about leaving right now. I'm nobody important. I'm just the host of the podcast. So peace out. I'm peacing out. Have a good evening. Goodbye now.